Hello beautiful people. This video is about what is the best measure of project success or failure. The cool thing about project success or failure is if you're using old thinking and old models, then you're missing the point. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm Jennifer Kenny. I'm the best-selling author of The Innovation Mindset and the award-winning author of 100% Capacity. I work with Fortune 500 companies in robotics, machine learning, and AI. On this channel, I show you how to deliver real project success, not just on paper, but in measurable business results. When we think about project management and project success and failure, we think about what is sometimes referred to as the iron triangle. And the iron triangle is time, cost, and scope. And if you think about those as three parameters that you need to be managing and taking care of constantly, recognize that they're useful, they're foundational, but they're not all that's required when it comes to really effectively managing projects. The Project Management Institute reports that 52% of projects hit budget and 56% of them meet goals, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are actually on time. So if we look at just the triangle alone, that also means that about half of our projects fail. So we need to rethink what it is success means for us above and beyond the basics, and how, as we think about that success, we're actually supporting the basics. The basics being time, cost, and scope. Lots of times when we think about projects, we think about requirements, and I've always found that to be a little bit of a black hole, because the problem with requirements is it assumes that a customer knows exactly what they're looking for. Now, many of our projects are very inspirational, aspirational, innovative, and what happens is that means that someone has not experienced the technology that you're going to be delivering ever before in their lives. Unless it's something small and simple that they've done a million times, they're not really positioned to be a very effective customer for you in determining whether or not the requirements that you deliver to are going to be successful for them. I have found it much more effective to be able to understand what are the business metrics they are looking to impact. If we start thinking about our project success in terms of what our customers are actually doing and what metrics they're looking to produce, what we do is we put ourselves in a position to be able to bring forward the best technology. Now, I've had projects that I have run and managed successfully that had requirements from customers that required new technologies, or that had requirements from us, the department, that we were putting forward new technologies to be able to solve a customer problem. Sometimes we all get excited about the technology as if it's a magic wand, and sometimes the technology is not what's required at all. Sometimes there's a lot of customer education that needs to happen. Sometimes there's a lot of our education that needs to happen around the business, the functionality of the business, the metrics of the business, the goals of the business. So a lot of times what I've done in the past is I have pulled my team back from the rushing into requirements gathering and a technical solution to spending a lot more time understanding the customers, working with them, building a relationship with them, and really understanding how their business works, so that we have an understanding of what it is that we're building, which would be our requirements, and we use that as an offer to them. Many times this involves a pretty significant level of prototyping, of design, of wireframes, of helping people really understand what is possible, but it also requires a good amount of time educating customers and a good amount of time answering the question whether or not technology is going to solve the business problem. Sometimes it's not. If you look to customers to develop your requirements for you, and you're doing business analysis to be able to write those requirements up for them and with them, we're dragging them down this path of technology development, which they are not really equipped to do. And what happens is we end up building a relationship with them which is based on our ability to be able to wave a magic wand and to deliver to their absolute dreams. That's not really practical and realistic. What I have found is much more valuable is if we can build a relationship with those customers, if we can build a deep understanding of how their business works, if we can build an understanding of how they track and maintain and grow value, and we are coming to them with offers around what it is that we can do, be it design, be it training, be it education, be it technology, we put ourselves in a position where our relationship with them comes first and foremost in terms of adding value, and the technology becomes secondary. It's almost a tool for supporting them in what it is that they're doing. So what we're doing in here is we're defining success as really building deep understanding, deep listening, and shared agreements. We tend to view that as a necessary evil rather than as an absolute essential foundation for the success of a project. And we jump into the doing before we have done the design and the development work, and that sets us up for failure. The third thing I would like you to think about when you think about project success and failure is outcomes versus outputs. Lots of projects will look at lines of code developed. Lots of projects will look at modules developed. Lots of projects will look at modules implemented. Lots of projects will look at users trained. But those parameters are useful in terms of us understanding that work is being done, but is it the right work? Is it work that's actually building value for the customer? Are we deeply in conversation with them, even though they're trying to go on with their existing work and they're super busy? But do we have a big enough understanding, a strong enough understanding of what they consider to be valuable so that what we're offering to them is deeply aligned with that value and it's not just us doing work? Adoption, satisfaction, and business impact are the real measures of project success. If you are offering technology within an organization or you're building technology to sell out into the market, adoption, satisfaction, and business impact are really the true measures of success. If we lose sight of that, we become a dev shop where we are constantly looking to be able to produce technologies and hoping that somewhere in the organization someone will say wow. We're looking to hit a wow factor rather than an adoption, satisfaction, and business impact factor. Sustainability of technology that we put out into our companies or put out into the world is another hugely important factor when you think about project success and failure. Gartner found that 80% of IT spend is consumed by maintaining old systems. So the level of innovation that we're able to do in those sort of organizations is absolutely minimal. If you're building new product and you're looking to put that product out into the world, the level of technical debt that that product drags with it is something that is going to increase over time, particularly as new platforms and new technologies and new upgrades happen as you're dealing with the future of the product. As you start thinking about technical debt, and again, there's a couple of other videos that I've done on this that are worth looking at in terms of supporting you with this thinking, as you think about the sustainability being part of your success, what you will do is you will reframe for yourself how you think about technical debt, and you will reframe for yourself how important it is to be able to do great demos and meet great deadlines, and how the underlying thinking around building a relationship with your customer is actually more important. As we go through projects, and I am dealing with this with a wonderful client of mine at the moment, where they're struggling with the difference between progress in terms of progress towards deadline delivery and actually improving the processes that support them in their success of product deliverables. As we think of the trade-off between those two, where we're looking at progress towards deadlines and we're looking at process towards improvements, so we're building the capacity of our team over time, if we are not hitting what I would consider to be the fifth factor of very important growth in an organization is, are we introducing new practices to our team in a measured way that is valuable for them and is allowing them to be more effective, more innovative, more engaged with their customers, better at listening as to what it is that their customers consider to be value, and to be able to understand the business impact? Are we building that capacity? Or are we simply building our capacity to be able to churn out lines of code? We have got to find an effective way to be able to do that balance so that we are growing our capacity and we are growing our team's capacity over time. That's what's going to allow us to be able to deliver progressively more successful projects and not simply be always in technical debt and catch-up mode. As you think about these 5 parameters when it comes to thinking about technical debt, there's the good old iron triangle, which is your time, cost, and scope. That's your absolute foundational basic one. Definition of success, which reframes the question as to what is value and what are we really looking to deliver, involving training and educating your customers and engaging with them differently than you may have done in the past. There's the understanding of outcomes versus outputs and really putting the emphasis on the outcomes in terms of the impact that we have, and not simply that we're churning out modules or lines of code. There's sustainability as success, where we're also recognizing that if we are constantly taking shortcuts and we are doing ineffective work as we hand stuff over to other people in the product development process, that we are dragging technical debt with us and we are not building sustainable products, and we are loading ourselves up with technical debt over time that weighs down our ability to be able to move forward and to be able to innovate. And then the fifth one is, are we growing the capacity of our team? Are we introducing new practices that make us more effective and efficient? Or are we simply throwing it up against the wall and looking for a miracle and assuming that everybody's just going to continue to work harder? As you start thinking about what is the best measure of project success and failure, I really encourage you to be able to weave in these 5 and start thinking about what is the best measure of project success and failure for you and for your team in your particular circumstances. There's certain tried and tested things you can go with, but I encourage you to go further and begin to think about your impact to the organization as a whole and your impact to the future growth and success of your company. If this video was useful for you, really encourage you to look at my next video here, which is what are some of the reasons for project failure. As you work through this process, I hope that the work that I'm doing on this channel is valuable for you, and I wish you the very best of success. Thank you.